Yes, good evening. After having some requests from various cycles, I decided to have a lesson and throw it on our channel. Like always, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that if we upload a new lesson, you will be notified. Right, in this lesson, we want to cover the most controversial topic or issue, that is how can we connect our programming language with a storage media. And in this scenario, we will be connecting Visual Basic with the MS Access. So these are Microsoft products, Visual Basic versus MS Access. So first we need to create the database. So that's why you see I opened it already, ready for the creation of the database, and I don't like the way it is opened. So first you need to open it in a correct manner so that people see. So you just click once on blank database, then you choose the location. So the location which I normally prefer is drive C, and I normally prefer the a folder called database inside the drive C. The reason being that there is no computer. If you are using, if you are using Windows as an operating system, your computer will always have the drive C. So it will be easy for you to move your system from computer A to computer B, because you always take your database and place it in what? In the drive C. And if you run your system, it will look for the database from what? From drive C. Therefore, you will not have connection problems, right? Here I prefer to give the word, I will give the term example as the name of our database. Then I will prefer 2002 to 2003 format. Why? Because some machines might lack the engine which is used to connect a database which is 2007 and above, that is the S engine. So most machines will have the Jet as a engine, which can be used for what? Microsoft Jet OLED B 4.0 is the one which is available on most machines. That's why I changed it from the 26, is it 2021? Yeah, it was 2020, 2007, 2016 to 2003, 2002, 2003 format, which is the MDB. So this database is being created, but you have to note that it is created, since the database is not yet created and I am creating it, it will be opened or created in an exclusive lock. In other words, it is created and locked exclusively, meaning to say that I am the only one who is able to access it. Anyway, I will demonstrate it when we want to connect it. We'll demonstrate, we'll show one another that we will not be able to access it. So what we need to do is to first close it and reopen it. So if you close it and you open it, it will be opened with a shared lock where it can be accessed by various users. So we want to create a table. And this table, we are going to call it users. Right, then on our table we need probably user ID. You can call it auto number, it's not a problem. May need user login for the and this can be short text. May need user password, short text again. Yeah, for the sake of demonstration, we can have a very few fields, but under normal circumstances, obviously you might need also to control probably the logging in. So you might include fields like number of times when the user has tried to log in, and if those number of times has been exceeded, then it means it has to lock. The user must be what? Must be locked. Okay, so if the user is unlocked, it means there should be a field that will show that the user is logged or is what? Is not logged. Is enabled. So it's yes, no. Default value is, let's say yes. We want the yes here as the default value. Right. Because it has to be enabled. So if it's enabled, it means the user can log in. Then number of times we need a number. Do we have a default value? The default value is what? 0. Correct. Right. Like this, we can save our table. Then we can add probably say SoulKey. SoulKey like this. SoulKey. Right, then it's enabled. Go to say Gaius. Say Gaius. Right, something like this. We've added 2 records in our table. Now we want to link this database. Don't forget our database is called example. It is in drive C for the database. Then we inside that database, that's when we have our table users. So we want to link, we want to connect these users with the what? With the Visual Studio, with the VB project. So we are going to create a project. We are going to start to create a new project altogether, and we show one another how we go about it. But like what I said earlier on, that this database, since I created it and I never closed it, it has been opened with an exclusive lock. No other user will be allowed to access it. But for you to see it, we need to demonstrate it. So let me leave it opened. Then I start a new project in Visual Studio. Maybe using, or let me use the one which is normally known by people. I can use my Visual Studio 2022, but let me use 2013, which is similar to 2012, which is most used by many people. Right. Say new project, one Windows Forms. You can even use console application, but let me just use Windows Forms. Example, connect DB. Right, here we want to connect to DB, so that's why we are giving it an example. Right, the project name, solution name is the same, it's not a problem. Now it's loading. That's the form which has been loaded. Right, flickering. Right, finally loaded. Right, I would like to customize my form. I don't want the auto scale mode, so I put it to none. The name of the form, I may give it FRM. Probably it's a login. All right. You can customize the font. Probably I prefer which font do I have? Gothic, something to do with the Gothic. But Century Gothic, yes. Century Gothic is the one which I like. Century Gothic, yeah, this one. Yes, then I'll put a size. This is just customizing my form. I may even say I don't want to see the maximize button, so I go and remove it. Probably I don't want to see the minimize button, go and remove it, something like that. Right. Now we want to put some controls. Yes, we may have some controls. We're designing our form. Where's the label? Right. But probably before putting the label, you might want to put a group box. G, right. You can say select, probably I would not use select username and enter password. Need to give instruction which is clear, and select username, enter password, and click login. Right, something like this. So we are giving an instruction to the user that you need to select the, then you click what? You click the login. Alright. So we can have our label now. Right, label 1, this is the username. Label 2, this is for pointing for our password. Right. Then we need to, the model or the concept which you want to use here is to use a combo box to select the what? The usernames. Need to use a combo box. Right. So this combo box must not be editable. So let me just demonstrate it. If you run it, you'll see that in this stance, in which in this form, I mean, which it is right now, you can write. So we don't want that one. So we need to what? To make sure that we are not allowed, the user is not allowed to enter because it's supposed to select. So we need to make it to conform to that concept that the user will only select. So how do we do that? I just, for it to look nice, just change it from standard to pop-up. Then from pop-up, this is the point where we make it not to be what? Not to be editable, the content. If you come here, if you try to write, you cannot write anything. So now we have achieved that one. Fine. Now we want a text box. In fact, before we put the text box, I forgot to name this one. You should give a name to the combo box. Say CMB username. Then we need to have text box. Text. Right. Text box. And this one you give it a name text password. And it has to use a system word password character, such that when someone is keying in, should not be able to see the word, the password. Yeah, something like this. So it's what? It's okay. Right, so now we want to add a button. Right. Button, you can say the text is login. The name is btn login. Then I choose it to be auto size to be true. You can even copy this button and paste it. btn cancel. Probably it's exit. Right, then auto size not to grow only but to grow and what? And shrunk. Right. So this is our login form. Right, and before we connect, we need to have something like we need to simulate the reality. Like after successful login, we need to be taken from this login form probably to another form that might be the main menu, or some may even move to a splash screen. But for this, since we want to make it very simple, we will add a main menu. So let's add another form. You can call it what? For a main menu or main form, depending with the way we want it. Right. Like what I said, the auto scale mode, I don't like it to be, and on the text I just call it main application menu. Right. And you can even add a menu strip. Menu strip. Right here. Adding a menu strip. On the menu strip, the font of the menu strip, I can just increase it to where is the font? I'm using right to 15. Right. So I would like to add the menu here. You can say probably file. So the file, we need to change it on the mnu file, depending with whether we want to use it. I can say probably logout. I need to change it mnu logout. Exit. I need to change it to mnu exit. Right. I may also not want to see the maximize, but I may want to this form to start on a maximized state. Right. May not want to see that one. It's not a problem. Right. Logout. Let me just refer to the FRIM login me.close. Right. These codes you know them. Then this one you can just say end to end. But sometimes you might need to have a message. Equals to are you sure you want to exit? Confirm. Message box. Message box icon. That question. Right. Here what we are saying, we are just formatting the message box. Then if SMS then end. Right, you're just creating a scenario where you want a message box to be displayed. You can just have a view of it before we connect. These are basics. Whenever you do something which you need to prompt a message, are you sure you want to exit? If it's no, it has to remain. Exit. If yes, it has to exit, something like that. That's what we are saying. That's what we are telling the application to do anyway. Right, we have connected our the main menu is connected with is linked with the login, linked back. Just managed to link back. Not all of the, so not all of the, but this one. Okay, it's linked, so it's okay. Right, so now we want to create a connection module. That's where the main focus of this lesson is. We now want to create the module which we will use for us to link our project in VB with the storage media, that is the access in this instance. Right, so we go to the project. You can say add module, you can give a name, but let me call this one connect. Right, then we add the module. So a module is just a list of codes. So here we are going to declare some objects which we will use to connect, and you need to know that for you to connect to a storage media like MS Access, you need to establish or to define a connection. You need to define an adapter, because this is now using a framework which is known as .NET framework. The .NET framework cannot allow the VB to connect direct with MS Access. So it needs something which interface between Access and VB. That is the adapter. Because for those who used to connect the classic VB, it was straightforward. We used to connect straightforward because there was no a framework. We were using the VB, and the classic VB connects direct. But this, since it uses the .NET framework, it means you need an interface, and that's the adapter. So I said we need a connection, we need an adapter, and the adapter is only there to connect or to interface the VB and the axis, but it is not in a position to create what commands, but it make use of some commands. So there is another object which is needed that will generate the commands that will be used by the adapter. And what is that object? The object will be command builder. So it is only responsible for building the commands, but it will not be able to use them. It builds the commands and feeds the commands to the adapter, and the adapter will use the commands to interface access and VB. Since our VB is not linking direct to MS access, therefore it means we also need another object that will have a picture of what is in the access. Let's say it's a table. We need a picture of that table in VB. So we need another object that will be the data table, that will be mirroring the tables in the access, mirroring those tables in VB, so that when we are working with the tables, we work them from the VB side, and whatever we want to do, we pass through the adapter will update. In the way, whatever we take from VB, we put it in the adapter will fit our mirror table. That is the table which we are going to, the data table which we are going to create as an object. So I mentioned about four objects. That is the connection, the adapter, the command builder, and the table. Those are the four objects which we need to create. Right, we are now creating, and we will create them as global variables. The objects are going to create them as global variables. So we can start public. So since these objects, they resides in OLEDB namespace, so we need to include that OLEDB namespace public mycon. I'm used to C# where you start with the data types. That's the problem. So the connection, I'm calling it my connection, but I'm just a mycon for short, is OLEDB connection. Right. Public is just an access specifier. But that is the one which is determining that this is a global variable, because it will be global to the entire solution. Right, my adapter, I can say my data adapter is OLEDB data adapter. Public, my command builder is OLEDB command builder. Is the command builder. I want to use this one. Command builder. This one. You are not supposed to write. You need just to select these things. Public, my data table. My data table is data table. This one does not belong to the OLEDB. The data table is it does not belong to the OLEDB, so you need not to use the OLEDB dot something. Right, then you can have again a procedure now, but this procedure must be also global. This procedure is the one which we will call connect db. Right. So in this procedure, we need to instantiate. because these are objects. The objects needs to be instantiated. By instantiation, you are saying that since they're instance objects, what we have done so far, we have defined the objects, but we haven't created them. So we need to create them. So this sub is used to create, and at the same time, it is also we also want to give the connection string that link which will that link which will connect or that will interface Visual Basic and Access. The link, there is the path which we are going to provide, and we need to provide it in that subroutine. So we can instantiate mycon equals to new OLEDB connection. We can instantiate my data adapter, not my data table. I mean, my data adapter cannot be instantiated because the moment we instantiate the data adapter, we need to provide what we call the path, which not the path per se, but the actual table which is going to be interfaced to. So I will try to make it simple. I will try to make it simple that we will instantiate the data adapter in the command builder when we want to use it on the form. This is still a module, but when you want to improve it, when you want to improve on performance, again, not only on performance but even on your code, you can instantiate it here by just providing a string. That string is the one which you will be using when we are calling this one. But I don't want to make some confusions because this is meant to assist learners, probably the Form 4 learners, those A-level learners who are struggling with connecting their Visual Basic with what? With Access. So we need to keep it simple. That is observing the what? The keys. Keep it simple. Strategy or technique, right? So we need to establish the connection, mycon dot connection string, right, equals to, right. So we have a connection string. So we need to have a connection string, and this connection string, it might be difficult for you to, in fact, it's not advisable for you to trying to claim all the components, because we have two major components, that is the provider and the data source. Those are the major components of the connection string. But the provider is the one which will also specify the engine. If you still remember when I said that we need to convert this database to 2002, 2003, so that it will use the Microsoft.Jet OLEDB engine. Though if we could have left it from on that format, that is 2007 to 2016, obviously it will need the S as its engine. So the engine will be part of the provider. Then we have the data. The data source now will specify the path where the data is. We may also have the password. If the database has got a password, the password should be also provided on the what? On the connection string. But on this, we are not going to use the what? The issue of the password on this one. Our database does not have a password. So what you do is you need to go to the Server Explorer, like mine. On the data connections, there are some, it depends with the computer. The computer might have something like this if it was used to connect, but if it was not used, then it must have blank. Then you right click, you select add connection, right. Here you need to make sure that on the data source, because if it's the first term, it will first you will first see this the change data source, or choose, it might be choose data source or change data source. So you select, because we are using Microsoft Access, select Microsoft Access, then you click OK. Then it has to come Microsoft Access database, right? Then you browse. And now navigating to drive C database example, right? You see now, this one, I like what I told you, that it cannot be used because it cannot be opened, because it was opened with an exclusive lock, so it will not allow other users to use it. So we need to say OK, then I cancel, then I have to close that database first. Let me save whatever I've done, I close it, but I have to use it while it's opened. I opened this now. I've opened it with a shared lock, and it has to access to allow me to what, to connect to it. Right, browse, go to drive C database example, then open it. Now it's now accepting, but it's still opened. The difference is now it has been opened with a shared lock. It can be accessed by more than one user per given instance. Even if you test connection, the connection has succeeded. Then you click what? OK. Right. So what we want, the connection string is here. You have to be very careful here. The database is the one which is highlighted, is the one which is active. Then you go to the properties window, you click connection. Then you just copy that one by even using Control plus C. Then you come between the two brackets, the two opening and closing quotes, I mean not brackets, you paste it. You will see what I said, that the provider is Microsoft.jet.oledb 4.0 and the data source equals to, that is the path now. And this is the connection. So that is the link, that is the path, that is the wire which is now wiring, which is now linking, which is now giving a connection of Visual Basic to Access. Right. Now we can open. If you want, you may open the connection. You can open it, mycon dot open, because the connection must be opened, but you cannot close it, because if you close it, then it's a problem. You can probably open it in a conditional. If mycon dot state equals to connection state open. Okay, closed. Fine, open. Suppose you just want to then mycon dot close. It's either way around. If you want to, because sometimes inside your code you may forget to close this connection, so it has to check first whether its state, is it opened or is it closed. If it's closed, then it won't be a problem. It's just open, because you cannot open an already opened door. It's impossible that if you arrive and you see a door already opened, then you want to open it, there will be an error. So you need to open something which is closed. That's what you can, whatever you may think of, as long as it has been opened, you cannot open it again. You just enter without opening. But if it's closed, that's when you what? That's when you open it. I don't know. I hope I'm clear here. That's why we put this condition to close it, so that someone can open it. Though there are some scenario when the door is opened, it's already opened. You need to enter. Right. Let's go back to our coding now. We want to code. So first we need to load. We want to load the users. We want the users to be loaded onto this combo box. Then the user, so that when the user is running the application, he or she will select the user. So first we have to load them. So obviously we load through the login form, through the form load, event. Was the Visual Basic, it makes use of events. So on the form load event, that's when we can load. So here we call the sub connect DB, right? Then obviously if you call it, it means it is already established the connection and opened the connection. So we are now left with instantiating the data adapter, right? Equals to new dot adapter. Then here we want to select all users, select all from this is the name of the table. Yes, users. You need to write exactly as it is. Right, users. Then we need the connection here. We need to use, this is a string, but we need the connection here. So what are we saying? It's in mycon. That's what we are going to put as our connection string. Right. Then, like what I said, this one does not have commands, so we need to give it commands. So we instantiate the command builder. It goes to new DB command builder. Then when it builds the commands, who is going to receive the commands is the my data adapt. Then my data adapt has selected all what is in the users table. Now we need a mirror table that is going to mirror what is in the in this table users. So what is that table? Is the data table. So we need to fill it. That's what we are doing. Right. Right from here, we now need to load now. Because we have connected, we have selected the actual table, we have given the adapter the commands, we have filled our mirror table in VB. Now we want to, that's where we are taking the data from. We now want to fill our combo box. So we can use a for loop depending with what we want. Can say can use for loop for each depending with what, let's say, let me use the for the normal for loop for I is integer equals to 0 to my data tbl dot rows dot count minus 1, because we don't want to write. So here, what are we saying? We are saying cmb username dot items dot add. What are we going to add? I'm going to add my data tbl dot rows I dot item. Which item do we want here? It's 0 1. So we want the item number 1 because that's the login, right? So it's 0 1. So item 1, that's what we want. Or not I, it's 1 here, 1 here, right? That's what we want here. After that, we need to close our connection. Mycon dot close. But before closing, obviously we need to clear my data tbl dot clear. Also my data adapter equals to nothing. Right, we are just housekeeping, cleaning our mess. We have messed the adapter, we have messed the table, the mirroring table, so we need to clean, we need to remove everything, so that when we want to use it again, we start it, or we use them while they are on a clean form. Just like after eating, you need to clean your plates. If you leave your plates dirty, the next time when you want to use them, sometimes you will find whatever you probably your last meal was with meat, and when you want to eat, then your next meal probably having some vegetables. You will see some parts of the meat still existing. Then it will contaminate, it will distort your meal. That's what we are saying here. So we need to make sure that we clean it's a good exercise, but even if you don't do that, it will run. That's why sometimes learners have got some problems. They will say that it's running. What you're telling us is yes, sometimes this VP has got a lot of forgiving and it accepts a lot of disastrous acts as far as programming is concerned, right? Here you may try to run it to see whether there are some users which have been loaded, or else there are some errors which we need to what? We need to see. SoulKey and the guys have been what? Has been loaded. But we haven't coded on this button. So even on this button, we haven't coded on this button. So we cannot proceed. But you just wanted to see whether the users have been loaded. And as you see, the users have been what? Has been loaded. Right. So still think right for this one. Just want to copy for the exit. It is the same. We need to prompt the user. So it's just copying and what? And pasting. Right. Now we want to code the login now. So on the login now, you will see that the concept which we used here is the same. So we need to code. That's why I said when you grow, you may even use a module, a public subroutine which you will use. That public subroutine is the one which you will be using, and it will be easier using a public subroutine than. But I'm trying. What I want is for you to learn. That's why I'm trying to make it very simple and very long somehow. Right. So here we have called the ConnectDB. We instantiated the adapter. We instantiated the command primitive. We instantiated the what? In fact, we filled the data table, not instantiated the data table. Right. So, but here we need to add something because we are selecting the user. We are selecting all from users. But what do we want? We want to check whether our user, which we have entered, the user who is here, is it the same with the same password entered? We need to compare. So we don't want to end. We want to use the where now. The where clause. Where user login. Where user login. Like what? Right, like CMB. So since we want to connect the small letter, it's a single quote, double quote. Then we can use that one as a concatenator in structured query language. You can use as a concatenator that one. Right, plus CMB dot text. Right. Then we our last symbol is plus here, so we need to add another plus. We add double quotes, add single quotes. Right. Look well. That's where the problem will be on our learners. They have to see this I am saying select all from users where user log in, like that one. Right, I'm not ending there. I want to concatenate this one with another one. And right. And what? And the password now. Like what? The password, like, still it's a string, like single quote, double quotes, plus sign, txt password dot text, plus sign, double quotes, single quote. Right. That's so this SQL statement with a structured query language. Select all from. Let me. I'm supposed to use capital letters here to show that these are reserved words in structured query language. Right. Select all from users where user login, like that one, and user password like that one. Right. This SQL statement is supposed to pick one and only one. So if it picks one, we are ascertain that the user enters the correct password. If it returns a 0 records, then it means the user enters what? Wrong password, because the username is always correct, because the usernames are being selected from the database. So the usernames are always correct. So we are now saying if my data tbl dot rows dot count is less than 0, less than or equal to 0, then we are just assuming probably it might, but here we are going to have an equal to 0, but we are just putting less than for any exceptional cases. Probably instead of returning a 0, it can return a -1. So that's why we are saying even if it's -1, again it's the wrong password. So probably the user, we don't know, we need to instruct the user message box dot show wrong password entered. Right, try again. Right, you're giving instruction, wrong password entered, try again. Invalid login. Right, message box. Okay, you can even use a error. Oh yes, so we need to clear the password. Dot focus. Right, already forgotten my data tb dot clear. Exit sub. Can end it here like that without an else. If you want, you can use an else part, but you can use exit sub, then it ends there. Then if the user enters the correct password, obviously it has to show the what frm main.show. Probably a message box could be shown that you successfully logged in. Right. To hide. And this is going to be the same. Right. Now we want to run our project to see whether it is performing according to what we have instructed it. Alright, SoulKey. Probably the password of SoulKey is what we need to check. The password of SoulKey is SoulKey. But for the meantime, we have to use what? Gaius. Right, wrong password. Ended. Try again. Okay. Put SoulKey. Login was successful. You see, now on the, you can say logout, the login what appears. You can select Gaius. Right, login successful. And that's how we are supposed to do, and this is the way we connect. If you may have some questions, you are free to contact me on my number. My digits are always, they won't change. My digits remains. Right, you can append +263 here. See, +263 774070053. Don't forget to hit the subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification symbol, because whenever you request for a lesson, for a tutorial with demonstrations, if you may not be the one who have requested it, but someone may request it, and once it has been requested, we upload it. After uploading it, you must be notified. So don't forget to hit the notification bell, so that you'll be notified wherever we upload new videos. I thank you. Goodbye.